Okay, this is going to be an interesting review because it's not going to be heavily detailed. I'm not doing it. There was way too much stuff going on in this show. I'm only covering certain things that I felt were important to myself. Now, you want a full review. I can understand that. But when you see how the show was structured, you can understand my feeling about it. For me personally, they had way too much plot device matches than they had actual matches that were driven by storyline. Using matches as a plot device upsets me. Using matches that really have no meaning, that could have been put on a regular SmackDown or a Wednesday night main event, upsets me. We could have shortened. This show was 3 hours and 20 minutes long. What the hell? They could have easily taken out 2 or 4 matches from this entire show, and they could have easily been within 11 o'clock. But they went to an overrun, and I felt there was no reason for that. Kofi Kingston versus The Miz, a not very interesting feud where The Miz should have already been heel, but they're not even showing him until now that he looks like he's becoming heel. And what does this prove? Nothing. Particularly when he goes on to the kickoff this Sunday, he will be on the panel. He's not even in TLC. Sin Cara versus ADR. What was the point of putting them on Raw when there's nothing important there unless it's going to be a mass versus career match? I can understand that. If that is what it's leading to when it comes to Royal Rumble, okay. Sin Cara's mask versus ADR's career. That actually would be interesting. That's what I wish would happen here. But what am I getting? A very boring feud that didn't need to be on the show either. What I am glad to see, this is one. Brodus Clay versus Xavier Woods. Now I know a lot of people are not too fond of how they treated Brodus Clay. I've seen the Slug Daddy's review. Basically a vanilla type of black man doing basically rap or dancing around in the ring. I understand that. It sucks. But in some cases it could still get over. That's how I feel about it. And I do respect the Slug Daddy's opinion. He is right. But sometimes it will be that way. Sometimes you can get over that way. You have to work with what's going on in the world. And you have to work with what's going on in the bosses. And if they feel like it's like that, you're going to be stuck with that until you find a way to get out of it. Now, when I bring up Brodus Clay, he was in NXT. He was a beast at NXT. They should have brought him out as a beast, and they didn't do it. He became the Funkasaurus. Had my Naomi, the gorgeous Cameron, and then eventually Toes and Tenzai into the reigns of the Funkasaurus and the Funkadactyls, and tons of funk. But seeing this match, I felt that the last time when I saw him angry, that this was a taste of the old Brodus Clay that we saw in NXT. And I believe that they finally decided, after they fucked this guy over, he started getting over with the fuck over, and then they just take him off TV because they just didn't want him to get over. They finally realized, you know what? This is a big ass motherfucker. I'm sorry for the cursing, but this is what they may be thinking. This is a big ass man that should be dominant. We should have him, instead of dancing around like a Rikishi, and there's nothing wrong with Rikishi. That was my boy. I love Rikishi. When he was with Scotty 2 Hotty, and he was in, no, I'm not even going there when it came to Master Sexay, but you know what I mean. I love Rikishi, but when he turned evil, and I only got a little snippets of him in the early 2000s, a little bit before he turned back to a face, to me personally, was a very refreshing thing to see. If Brodus Clay has now been branched off from the Funkadactyls and Tensai, and he's going to be a heel, we could get him over. People wanted to cheer him as a Funkasaurus. People wanted to boo him as a monster. Now, if they put him as a monster, this could be interesting. He will still be facing Xavier Woods. I'm sure of it. He will probably face an R-Truth, and then he'll probably face Tensai. The question is going to be, will they turn Tensai heel with him? Will they turn the Funkadactyls, my baby, my Trinity McCoy, who I love very much? If they turn Naomi and Cameron heel, we will have a new dynamic in the Divas division because we haven't had something new in quite a long time. We've seen AJ turn heel and face. We've seen Alicia Fox constantly turn heel and face. Look at the Bellas. They're faces now. But we don't care. Turn the Funkadactyls heel. That may actually be interesting. And that's how I feel about it. Now, seeing the Usos versus the Wyatts. Am I interested in what's going to happen with the Wyatts and Daniel Bryan? I'm not sure because I don't know how far they're going to go this route with Daniel Bryan. This is my feeling. Honestly. The reason Daniel Bryan and CM Punk are in this situation is because when they decided they want to try and unify the titles, they have nothing for them to do. They should have already let Daniel Bryan have the title and they let him move on to something different. But they're not going to do that. They wanted to combine the titles, let John Cena, who's the most strongest supposedly face in the company, deal with it, which it looks like he will win it, unless I'm wrong, which I don't mind. And then Daniel Bryan faces him afterward. So he will have a clean slate of becoming, I can't stand the unified champion, turn it into the undisputed WWE champion. Fine. Leave it at that. WCW is in TNA now. They got the world title. Leave the WWE title as it is, as an undisputed WWE title, and then they drop it to the WWE title. As simple as that. But they may want to let Daniel Bryan take a little short break from it, so they want the title to have some precedence, some legitimacy with John Cena. Do I agree with that? No. They could actually get away with Daniel Bryan, but they're doing it with John Cena. And anyway, he wasn't in the position back then when it was unified anyway, when it was the undisputed WWE Championship. They didn't do it then because he wasn't ready. So I guess they say, okay, this is your reward for coming back so soon. We want to unify the titles with you. And this leads me into the end of the show. Randy Orton, John Cena, and all the champions you can look at, from Jack Swagger to Dolph Ziggler to HBK to Bret Hart. Rey Mysterio was there. I don't know why he was standing there with a big gap between his legs. Did he want someone to grab his nuts or something? I don't get it. But that's how it looked. This is how I felt. It was understandable for John Cena to bring in Daniel Bryan because throughout the night, Daniel Bryan was the one who was viewed the most important. I'll get to the awards in a few minutes, at least the ones I'm going to talk about. But you get my point. Saying that Daniel Bryan was so important got himself over as well as Daniel Bryan. So that kind of sets up what could go on at Royal Rumble if John Cena wins the title. Between John Cena and Randy Orton, the way they were talking, it was kind of hard to see how Randy Orton got over because they kept screaming boring at him. Now, I always said it, he's not a great talker. He speaks better in the ring. John Cena was very direct about what he was saying. Honestly, Randall Keith Orton is very gifted in the ring. He makes everything look very easy. Being a third generation, genetically speaking, it is possible to pass on certain traits to your ancestry. It is. If I was able to throw a pitch at 90 miles an hour, my grandson or granddaughter could throw a pitch at 90 miles an hour. It can pass down through generations, so it's obvious he has the ability because of his grandfather. But when it comes down to it, he's never really been that great of a talent. I'm not being mean to him, he just hasn't. So what John Cena was saying was a shoot work. Not any different from last week. Here's the thing. Seeing the ending after the fight, where the CM Punk had a fight with the Triple H, the King of Kings. The question is, will Triple H and CM Punk have a feud? Could CM Punk be screwed over by Triple H for the Shield? In other words, the Shield's been ordered by Triple H to beat his ass up. Could have been done by that. People have been speculating, but there's no guarantee it's him. It could be still Vince, or it could be Stephanie. But in the end, you may be teasing what's going to happen with Triple H. Also, you could be teasing what could be happening with a HBK versus a Daniel Bryan. I'm not saying they'll actually bring him back. He may never want to wrestle again. But this also leaves a lot of questions at the end of the show. And then you see John Cena, Stephanie, Kane, and Triple H standing over Randy Orton. Now, I'm not saying John Cena is going to be doing like the corporate thing that a Steve Austin did at the last minute. I'm not saying it because I don't see it happening. There's no way they're going to turn him heel. He's never turned heel. They're not going to let him go. But it leaves you with a lot of questions. And I can say, at least in that respect, with so many different directions that you could be seeing, for the casual fan, there could be interest in it. But to me personally, seeing that John Cena is the one who's doing the unification and being the undisputed champion, and I'm going to call it that, is understandable by a business standpoint, but I'd rather have seen Daniel Bryan do it. I'm not a big Daniel Bryan fan, but the crowd is very into Daniel Bryan. John Cena is being booed more now than he's being cheered. And that leads me to the final thing, the awards itself. When it came to the double cross, I'm saying this very clearly. I like HBK, even if he's a dick. But I felt Mark Henry did a very good job, and he should have won the damn award. As a face, I know that it wouldn't be great to do it, but I would have liked to see Mark Henry win a fucking Slammy, man. Next thing, seeing Daniel Bryan win a fan appreciation, as well as, what was the other one? He won, because I cannot remember, the Superstar of the Year. I'm sorry. Seeing that the crowd really loves Daniel Bryan, it was the wisest thing to do. I'm glad it was not John Cena. Last year he won a lot. So I'm glad they did this with Daniel Bryan. But what does this mean? Daniel Bryan is very hot at this moment, but is it going to work for the WWE going to 2014 with only one title? If this is really going to be one title, this could still split off after a year. Particularly if the ratings go plummeting and they realize they need the world title and the WWE title back. My question is this to all of you, if you watch this. What do you believe? Do you believe 2014 is going to work out with just one title? I may do a debate of the week on this. Because my question is, what are they going to do? But all in all, how was the show? It was a B- show because there was way too much stuff there for plot device. Instead of using the storylines, instead of making the matches storyline driven, it was more used as a plot device driven thing. It's not bad for everybody, but for me personally, more than two irks me. It just irks me. And then meaningless matches like Alberto Del Rio and Sin Cara, it makes no sense. Natalya and Tamina, what is the point? Natalya should have had the title at least nearly 2 months ago, and they wouldn't do it. Are they going to do this now or keep AJ on it? I just don't see anything really interesting for most of the matches that were there. I'm sorry. Damien Sandow versus Biggie Langston. I have no interest because there's no feud there. They're just letting them wrestle one another. So for me personally, this wasn't a great show because they have not structured anything but the main event and the Slammies itself. That's just how I feel about it. I give it a B-. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View and subscribe and comment to my channel. I would love to hear comments on how you felt about the Slammy Awards. I want to know how you felt about the matches. They weren't all bad matches, but there was so much plot use in them. I mean, seeing the Usos get destroyed by the Wyatts, was I interested? Not really, because we saw this with the Shield losing to CM Punk. I just don't feel interested. I'm sorry. Have a good night.